Welcome to The Outlet, an OTG production.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the NBA Outlet, presented by OTGBasketball.com. We're happy to have you with us on whatever platform you're listening on, and be sure to check us out on Twitter at OTGBasketball. It's Parth here, and joining me as we record this Sunday evening edition of the NBA Outlet are the usual suspects, Nick Fay and John Aiello. What's going on, guys?
What's up, Parth?
Yo, what's going on? Happy Sabbath Day to everybody.
Sabbath Day? I don't know what that is.
It's basically like the Christian day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were religious like that, John.
I can't talk religion on the podcast.
Dude, I think that Monty Williams speech, though.
Oh, I missed that.
I'm not religious, but that was fantastic.
Yeah, I gotta watch that.
Dude,
Yeah,
check it out.
That was great, honestly. It says a lot about Monty Williams, too.
Yeah, also, speaking of Monty Williams, we just want to give our best wishes to him and also to Chris Bosh. Hope he gets through this blood clot issue.
Yeah, for sure. But
Yeah.
one thing I want to say about Monty Williams, I feel like I think he deserves another shot to coach an NBA team. Like, look at what Alvin Gentry's doing, and like Monty Williams kind of did the same. I mean, he did a better job. I mean, obviously Alvin Gentry's, it's a new system and he's his first year, but I feel like Monty Williams did a decent job relative to what Alvin Gentry's doing this year. I feel like he deserves another shot in the NBA with a team that can actually be healthy and have all their guys play, most of the season.
I think he'll get it, not only because of his basketball ability, but like the kind of person he is, and you kind of saw that with the speech that he gave at his wife's memorial. That kind of person I would want leading me. So I feel like an owner who sees that will definitely go for Monty Williams as a future coach going into the future.
I agree. I think he should get another look. I mean, you have to look what he did with the Pelicans. They had a ton of injuries. He still got in the playoffs last year, and they were more competitive in that series than a lot of us thought they were going to be. So as a coach, he's great, and as a leader, I think he's someone you want to have in your organization.
Moving on from Monty Williams, did you guys have weekly recaps? I know that kind of sums up the week for Monty Williams and the Thunder a little bit, but do you guys have any individual weekly recaps?
Yeah, so my weekly recap, as Nick so politely presented to me today, is that I don't know if many of the listeners have heard, but the Boston Celtics, Danny Ainge went on a radio show, I believe, and he said that they had a big deal on the table with the Brooklyn pick, and it wasn't any of the guys that you've heard of. So it wasn't Al Horford, it wasn't Boogie Cousins or Kevin Love. And this Fox Sports article says that Jahlil Okafor was the mystery player almost traded to the Celtics, and I guess the Sixers backed out. So an interesting move. I think they need to get rid of one of those guys, but you guys said before the podcast that they could be saving saving Jahlil Okafor so they can package him and maybe like a first round pick to a team where they can get a superstar in return. And so that maybe that's why they held off and decided not to trade him to Boston for that Brooklyn pick.
Well, I think like we mentioned on the previous podcast when we talked about the Sixers, we don't really know what they're doing. That could be a possibility. I'm almost surprised they didn't take the pick, because if they're offering the Brooklyn pick, like we mentioned, they'd have two of the probably top 10 picks in the draft. And Okafor would probably be great with Boston. He could be able to develop his game with some of the young guys they have, and that team would be set for the future.
Yeah, I am not a big Okafor fan, to be quite honest. I would rather Boston just hold on to those picks and try to get a DeMarcus Cousins or something like that, because whatever the hell is going on in Sacramento, I can't see how Cousins would want to stay with that organization. They blackball George Karl by firing his assistant coach, basically recommending that he resign, but I don't think he will. He's owed like $10 million, and I don't believe he gets that if he resigns. So yeah, I would hold off on Okafor. I'm happy they didn't make that move. I'd go after a bigger fish, especially with the picks you have.
I think it's almost surprising that the Celtics haven't got Cousins yet. I'm not sure why they haven't. They have plenty of assets, but Sacramento must be asking a lot.
Well, Sacramento is just like, I mean, I get that they're probably thinking like, well, what if like Boogie it's happy here, but it's like it gets to a point where like you gotta look at the past and say it has not worked so far, and it's like, what do you? I mean, he's just not happy here, and you can get so much value in return. They just need to blow up that entire team, including the coach. I mean, the organization is such a joke. I feel bad for Sacramento fans.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough time to be a Kings fan. For my weekly recap, probably the best net news I heard in a while. The Nets named Sean Marks as their new general manager. This guy, he's got a unique background. He played in the NBA. He was somewhat of a journeyman. He got a championship with the Spurs. Then he went on to go in the Spurs front office and manage their D-League team. Then he came back to the bench and was an assistant coach with Pop. And then he was an assistant GM with the Spurs as well. So some unique experience in the NBA. I'm pretty excited about it. You think this was a good move for the Nets?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds, honestly, I don't know much about Sean Marks, but it sounds like it was a good move. I mean, it seems like he's an intelligent guy who's, I guess, kind of fitting the mold of the rest of the NBA, where guys who are smart and risk averse, they prefer to play it safe and kind of like, I guess, keep picks, which is what, the New York franchises have been known to not do, is keep picks and trade them away. So it sounds like it's a good move. It could be a typical New York thing where they're getting way too excited over something that, doesn't deserve as much excitement. But, I mean, I think it sounds like it's a good move. It sounds like it's a smart move. And just, being the New York market, I think it's getting almost maybe too much attention. But
Didn't Prokhorov say he didn't even know who Sean Marks was when initial reports came out that the Nets offered him the GM slot?
That's correct. The Nets are opening their new practice facility in Brooklyn, and there was a press conference, and he said he had no idea who Sean Marks was. The next thing you know, he's named the GM. And
That's
I think
funny. I wonder if like Prokhorov actually did know who Sean Marks was, and someone had to introduce him, because I don't think he's directly responsible for in the hiring search. I think he has smarter people doing that, or more basketball savvy people doing that, and eventually they decided on Marks as the guy. But that's really funny.
that's definitely Prokhorov. He had a committee looking for it. I mean, I think that he probably did know who he was, and he was kind of just maybe trying to be funny. I'm not really sure, because from what I know, Marks was their top choice, so I figured he would probably know who they're trying to get.
True, but he also is a Russian billionaire. He probably has some boats to go on and some women to hang out with. So I don't know if he's concerning himself with Sean Marks all that much. For my weekly recap, I wanted to stay in New York, and I actually had something really substantial planned. And then just a couple of minutes before we get on the pod, I noticed Complex Sports and on Twitter, and they posted, "Why did Knicks coach Kurt Rambis' Twitter account like a nude picture?" So, of course, I had to click it to find out what the hell it was. And this is some serious stuff, guys. So last night at like 4:18 a.m., I guess Kurt Rambis or someone hacked his account, was on Twitter, and he liked a tweet. And the tweet says, "Love female masturbation." And there's a picture of a girl doing her thing on it.
Oh my God.
And then Complex, as the great journalists they are, they went on his Twitter account. They found some of the people he follows, and he follows Great Ass Daily. So he's daily getting ass. So props to Kurt Rambis for that. And he also follows Great Sports Quotes and Coaches Quotes. So Nick, it doesn't look like Kurt Rambis is going to steal that job, and I think he's just going to be on an interim basis, especially if he's using Great Sports Quotes and Coach Quotes to help motivate the Knicks. Maybe that explains why they suck.
Oh God, I just don't even know what to say about this.
Is that not the best story you've heard all day?
That's definitely the best. I mean, honestly, he's like a 45, 50-year-old guy. Like, whatever. Let the man live his life, But like, I mean, I find it hard to believe that someone's hacking his Twitter account. It's probably him. He probably was out celebrating his first win as a Knicks head coach, and he was like,
Great ass daily. Must follow.
Yeah, so he was probably up late and drunk and who knows, but I mean, I just like, of course it's the Knicks. I'm just so tired of being a Knicks fan. This is terrible.
Yeah, you're so right. Of course it's the Knicks. Only the Knicks would have something like this happen.
This would happen to either the Knicks, the Kings, the Suns, or the Nets. There's only 4 teams that this would happen to.
But I will say this, that because I wanted to delve into the topic and kind of like get more information on it, just doing my due diligence, I went to that Great Ass Daily Twitter account. And I don't blame Kurt Rambis for following it. I have to admit. So there is that little nugget. So if you guys want to go follow that Great Ass Daily, go for it.
Duly noted. I'm going to go check that out.
I mean,
So I wanted to do something a little bit different, a little bit quirky this week, and I wanted to do a name association game. So what I want you guys to do is I'll give you guys a phrase, and then I want you to think about or tell me what comes to your mind in terms of all the NBA, whether it's players, coaches, past players, referees, media members, anything NBA related. The first thing that comes to your mind when we go into these phrases. So are you guys ready for that?
we're good to go.
All right. First phrase. What you see is what you get.
I'm going to go with Evan Turner. I mean, I feel like you know what you're getting with Evan Turner. He's not really going to do anything crazy, but he's going to score for you, rebound, get some assists. He's good in doses.
So mine is, I was going to say Michael Carter-Williams, but I switched, and I'm going to go with Jeff Green because the Clippers, they made this trade, and I feel like there's a lot of people who are thinking this could be the trade to get them over the hump or, maybe get them to contend with the Warriors. But Jeff Green is, you see what you see is what you get with Jeff Green, meaning that you're going to get an inconsistent player who's probably not going to play hard all the time. Maybe he's playing. I don't remember him quite as much under Doc. It was a few years ago. I just remember, I know with Memphis, it just seems like some nights he's not into it. He'll have a night where he's, got 30 points, he's got some sweet dunks, and the next night he's got like 4 points. So that's my pick. I don't think he's going to do too. It gives him some versatility, but I don't think he's anything to write home about. I don't think it's anything that's going to make the Clippers a top team in the West. They're still going to be third or fourth best team in the West.
I like you picking Jeff Green because for as long as I can remember, everyone's been saying if this guy ever gets it, he's going to be scary, and that's what Chuck says all the time.
Right. Yeah, and he's been in.
I don't think he's going to get it.
Right. I will definitely not at this point. It's like when you've been in the league for, I think this has got to be his 9th year, 8th year. He's not going to get it. It's like this is what he is, and I think giving up a future first, even though I think it's highly protected. So who knows? But it's still risky for a team that doesn't have many first-round picks.
Next phrase. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen.
Deron Williams. Deron Williams wanted to act like a superstar, but he didn't perform like one. This is talking about his time in Brooklyn.
So mine is Vivek Ranadive / the Sacramento Kings. I'm kind of hoping that they're just going to get so much heat and get made fun of so much that he wants to sell the franchise and they move, or they just at least get a sensible owner in there to run the franchise.
Yeah, he's ridiculous, dude. All he has to do is don't touch anything. Like, let the basketball people do the basketball stuff. You just do the owning. Like, you don't have to. Yeah, he's ridiculous, man. Makes Indian people look bad, even though he is filthy rich. Props on that. But in terms of basketball, come on, man. All right, moving on. Next phrase. Backseat driver.
I'm going to go with LeBron James. We know who's really driving the car in Cleveland, and that's LeBron.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think that's spot on. And I'm going to go with LeBron. Oh, you could go with Vivek Ranadive, I guess, in this one too. But I'm going to go with LeBron's buddy Carmelo. Melo is kind of the backseat driver for the Knicks in the sense that the Knicks can't get rid of him. You're almost kind of stuck in some. You kind of need to. You have the pick this year, so you can't really, or you don't have a pick this year, so you can't really throw the season away. You kind of have to form the roster around Carmelo, and he kind of controls the Knicks' destiny, even though he's. I love Carmelo, but he's 31 years old and he's overpaid. So unfortunately, he's kind of like the backseat driver for the New York Knicks.
Oh, that New York Knicks traffic. Anyway, the next phrase, 15 minutes of fame.
I'm gonna go with Lance Stevenson. Lance had his shining in with the Pacers, and ever since then he hasn't really done anything. He's been involved in I think 2 or 3 trades since then, so he has not lived up to the hype.
I'm kind of interested in seeing how he does in Memphis. I think he'll get a really good opportunity. I mean, he might start at small forward maybe. I don't know, because they got rid of Jeff Green. They got rid of Courtney Lee. So I'm wondering if maybe he'll start or maybe he'll be a 6-man. But I kind of want to see how he does. I think Dave Yeager could get him to play some good ball. But my guy for 15 minutes of fame is Jimmer Fredette. I think the New York media market is going to go crazy when he actually starts playing. Not that he's going to do good, but I just think he was a big name in college. And he was brought up from the D League. He won the All-Star Game MVP for the D League, and so I think he's going to get a lot of notoriety from the New York press.
Good point on Jimmer for that. The next phrase, joined at the hip.
I'm going to go right where the All-Star game was, and I'm going to go with Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. I don't think DeRozan's leaving just because him and Lowry are joined at the hip.
All right. So my choice for joined at the hip. I'm gonna switch it up and go with the trainer from the Clippers and Blake Griffin. I think they're great friends.
Dude, did you happen to were you guys on Twitter when they put up the hashtag family picture?
I don't think I saw the picture. I think I was looking for it. I couldn't find it, but yeah, I heard about it. It was like was it a picture of the whole team or was it a picture of Blake and the trainer?
It was just Blake and I don't think it's the trainer. I think it's the equipment manager.
Guy, yeah.
Right. I think it's the equipment manager, and they were just dapping up before the game, and the equipment manager's face was just like, dude, F this. I'm just here because they pay me.
Yeah.
And then the internet went wild with it. Like there were pictures of Malice in the Palace, hashtag family, yelling at each other, punching each other, hashtag family.
I saw all those. They were hilarious.
Fantastic.
Yeah, there was one I saw with Matt Barnes and him and Derek Fisher on the Lakers.
That took that hashtag to a whole new level.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Oh, LeBron and Delonte West was on there.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, there were some hilarious tweets I saw.
Yeah, props to the internet for that. And yes, I think the equipment manager, the trainer, and Blake Griffin are all going to be joined at the hip if he starts punching people. So the final phrase I have is back to the drawing board.
I'm going to go with the Clippers because I feel like every year we think that they're going to end up getting to the finals or they're going to be a contender, and they end up not getting past the second round. So it's back to the drawing board every year for them.
Yeah, I mean, the only shot I think they have to win a championship this year is if someone gets hurt on the Warriors and the Spurs. I don't think, or even the Thunder. I think they're the fourth best team. But my pick for back to the drawing board, keyword back, is Donatas, I guess Moniunas, how you pronounce it, I think. But the Pistons, I read a tweet today saying that, well, first of all, I guess there's a 72-hour trade window, which I wasn't aware of, but the Pistons are asking the NBA to give them another 24 hours so that they can investigate, I guess, Moniunas's back injury history and I guess what it looks like for his future. They gave a future first round pick for him, so it's kind of a big deal. And so we'll see how that plays out. But that was my pick for back to the drawing board because of his back injury.
Nice wordplay there. So you're being inspired by the life of Pablo.
Yeah, that was definitely Kanye's work.
That's all the phrases I had. If any of the listeners have something different from what you guys said, feel free to mention us on Twitter or comment on wherever you're listening. We'd love to hear what you guys have to say.
Agreed. This week on OTGBasketball.com, we had our new batch of power rankings. The staff comes up with the top 30 teams. So, any teams come surprising to you guys?
Yeah. So I'm looking at it right now. I mean, I still like the Knicks took a pretty harsh fall, rightly so. But I feel like there's teams on here that are better than them. Like I still think the Pelicans are probably better than the Knicks. Um, Orlando, not Houston took a pretty heavy fall too, and I think that's justified. The Wizards are 18. Dallas at 13. Dallas is playing well, but I don't think they're better than Utah. Chicago at 15. I don't think Chicago should be that high. I think they should be a little bit lower. I feel like Orlando. I think this trade could do Orlando wonders. I think they could fall into like the top 15 depending on depending on how everything plays out. But I think getting rid of Tobias Harris is going to change their lineup, and it's going to make them play faster, and it'll make their defense better too. So I think Orlando is a team that is better than 20. But overall, I like the rankings. Atlanta's a little high for 8. I don't know if Atlanta's the 8th best team in the NBA.
Yeah, that was definitely a surprise to me. The rankings. I saw Atlanta high. It's tough though because there's just like I feel like when I was doing the rankings for myself, there's not a lot of teams that deserve to be in the top 10. I'm not even sure Atlanta does, but you have like the top teams, and after that, it's kind of like, oh, who do we put there?
Yeah, the top 6 is definitely pretty solidified, but after the Raptors, it's kind of like. Boston, I guess, could be 7, but after Boston, but who is it? Miami could be 8. Maybe Memphis could be 8. Well, now Memphis has no Marc Gasol, so I don't know. Detroit maybe could be 8, depending on how this Tobias Harris trade works for him.
Yeah, I think Detroit's a little high right now, just because we don't know how the Harris trade is going to work, if Demo's even going to be there, like you mentioned with the back injury. So I think Detroit's a little high for a post-trade deadline. I think that's a lot of hype based off the trades. Rightfully so, but I don't think the ranking should be determined by hype per se. I do think Memphis should drop with Marc Gasol's injury. Atlanta, I don't know about Atlanta, man. They're just missing what they had last year. Kyle Korver's not the same shooter. I don't know. I haven't watched too much of Atlanta to know what exactly is going on. I believe their offense has suffered from last year. Their defense is around the same, but their offense has suffered. That's probably due to Kyle Korver not being typical Kyle Korver because of that injury and not having the same offseason that he usually would have. I think Miami's I don't know, man. They play really well. Like the last couple of games, they've been without Wade and Bosh, and Dragic has looked like the Dragic of Phoenix a couple seasons ago, All NBA performer. Luol Deng looks like the All-Star Luol Deng from Chicago. Obviously, when Wade and if Bosh is able to come back, those roles kind of change. But I think the Heat need to move in that direction where they're playing a little more up-tempo and kind of give the reins to Dragic. I think that'd be beneficial for their offense because they desperately need offense as they don't have spacers and three-point shooters when they get into the half court. I think Dallas is really slipping.
I just don't think Dallas is. I mean, they're playing good ball because Carlisle is a good coach and Dirk is somehow putting up good numbers. But I mean, they're a really old team and they have a lot of guard. I mean, they just don't fit the mold of like a modern NBA team. They're a playoff team, I think, but. I wouldn't be surprised if they slipped out of the playoff hunt just because I think Portland should get in there. I think Utah should get in there. The Rockets, they should get in there because they have so much talent. But Dallas is high, I think. But they do have a good record still.
I think looking at the playoff picture in the West right now, I think Dallas and Memphis are in danger of slipping out. I know you mentioned Dallas for sure is, but I think Memphis with Gasol's injury, I don't know if they can survive that.
I think they're done. I think they're done. If they have I'm assuming they have their pick this year. I think it's in their best interest to just kind of tank and get in the lottery. I mean, that team hasn't been in the lottery, and that's why they've been in this kind of stagnant place in mediocrity for so long. Is because they've just kept getting, late first-round picks, and their team isn't young, so they're not really improving, and they can't keep up with Golden State, Oklahoma City, and San Antonio, all those guys.
Yeah, that could be the right path for Memphis, like you said. Without Gasol, they're not going to do anything in the playoffs. They're going to have a tough time making the playoffs. So if they get a high pick, they definitely could use some talent because there is a chance they'll lose Conley this offseason. So they can use that new pick on maybe a new point guard. And like you said with Dallas, I think we're just kind of waiting for maybe one of their bigger players to get injured. They've been relatively healthy with some of their starters. I know I didn't expect Deron Williams to play this much. Wesley Matthews has been back, but he hasn't been as good. And Parsons is finally healthy too, so they're healthy, but I don't know if that'll stay like that for the rest of the season.
I just don't think Dallas is as good as people think they are or were. They give up a lot of open threes, and teams aren't really knocking them down. I haven't watched enough to know if it's them or if it's just people are just missing or happen to miss against Dallas. I think that'll come back to bite them, and I think they'll end up slipping out of the playoffs. One team that is on the rise, and it's noted in this new power ranking, up 7 spots, are the Portland Trail Blazers. And Lillard put on a absolute show against Golden State. I think, did they win by, I know he dropped 51, but they won by like 20 plus points, right?
I thought it was like 130 to like 107 or something, or like 102, something like that. It was close to 30 points, I think.
Wow, dude. Nick, we were so wrong about Portland in our preview podcast series.
I mean, I think everybody was. Nobody thought CJ McCollum was going to make this much of a jump, and I mean, they have no frontline scorers. It's basically just McCollum and Lillard doing everything on offense, and I mean, they're winning games. It's pretty remarkable, considering those two guys aren't good. Really, I mean, I guess Lillard's all right, but McCollum's not good defensively. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. Everybody thought they were going to be like a 30-win team, like a 27-win team, and they're already
there, yeah. And they're in the playoff. They're in the playoff hunt. They're like in the 6th or 7th spot right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're looking good too. I mean, Dame Lillard has been awesome. So I definitely was completely wrong on them.
Yeah.
We knew Lillard would have to do a lot, but we didn't expect him to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we thought he would have to if they were to stand a chance, but he's doing it, and people around him like Al-Farouq Aminu have been playing well. The Doughboys in the front court have been serviceable. CJ McCollum has been great offensively. Alan Crabb has stepped in. Mo Harkless. Like, just all these guys that you didn't expect to play well are playing well for this Portland team. And that's attributed to Lillard being great and also improving his overall game and not just his scoring ability, and Terry Stotts being a fine coach.
Oh, go ahead, Nick.
Terry Stotts and that whole staff definitely has done a great job because, like Part said, a lot of these guys we didn't expect to make a jump, took a jump, and they took a big jump. Crabbe has been great. McCollum has been great. I mean, even Mason Plumlee's taken it, improving his game. I know from when he was in Brooklyn, he wasn't doing all that much on offense, and now he's pretty much a playmaker for them. So shout out to them for doing a good job with the young players.
Yeah. I mean, Dame has got to get some consideration for MVP if Portland makes the playoffs. I mean, he's had such a good year. I mean, I think Steph Curry's still going to win it, but he's got to get some consideration if they make it. That team, they're really not good besides CJ. They're overachieving. I guess Stotts is. I didn't know he was this good of a coach because he has them playing really well. But one thing I want to say about Dallas when Parth was talking about them, I think they had this issue last year. If they make the playoffs, I don't think they're going to do anything because I just worry that they're so old. Like Dirk had this issue towards the end of the year and in the playoffs where he just didn't do anything, and he just looked so old, like running up the court, and it's just like I just think the more the season progresses, I think Dallas is going to fall out more and more just because they're not a young team.
Yeah, agreed. And they don't have any young talent going forward either, so it hurts them.
Yeah, I think outside of the top 4 in the West, everyone else 5 through 8. They're going to be first-round outs. I don't think anyone's upsetting anyone in the first round, which is okay with me because I'm really excited to see Golden State, the Clippers, Oklahoma City, and who's the other? San Antonio. And the Spurs. Yeah, I'm really excited to see those 4 battle it out in the semis and moving forward.
Yeah. I really want Utah to get in the playoffs. I feel like they would be an interesting matchup for a lot of teams, especially with Favors healthy. I would really like to see them. I'd love to see Utah make an 8 seed and play Golden State. I think that would be a surprisingly competitive.
That'd be a good series.
I don't think it would be an all-out. I mean, the issue is the point guard play, but I think it would be an interesting series. I think Utah could steal a game, maybe even 2 games, just because.
I think that. I'm with you. I'm stealing 2 games. I think that.
Yeah, I really want them to get in the 8 seed.
Be a great experience for the team too.
Yeah.
And they'll return Dante Exum next year. Do you know when Alec Burks comes back, John or Nick? Is he done for the year?
No, I don't think so. See, that's Burks having him come in, and he could play point if he's healthy for the playoffs. He could play point and guard Steph. They have a lot of defensive versatility. They can basically switch everything if they have Favors playing center or even Gobert. I mean, I would really love to see them get in the playoffs against Golden State. But yeah, I think Birch is coming back at some point. I'm just not sure when.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too. I think Burks is probably coming back at some point this season. I don't think he's out for the year. But they're definitely good for the team to just get in the playoffs, and they definitely can make it a competitive series. So I know there's some teams that we talked about. Here's the teams that dropped the most this month in the standings. We had the Bulls drop 8 spots down to 15. The Rockets dropped 6 spots to 19. The Kings 6 spots to 22. And the Knicks 6 spots to 23.
Well, I think the Bulls drop is all attributed to them trading Kirk Heinrich to the Hawks. I think that's a huge blow. I'm just kidding. I think that's all Jimmy Butler getting hurt. So when he's back, I think the Bulls will be what you've seen thus far, which is an inconsistent, talented roster who you can't exactly put your finger on where they're going to end up. They could be a 2 seed or they could be a 7 seed in the East. Like it's all over the place with them.
See, yeah. I don't think Chicago is that talented. I think they have Butler, obviously, who's great, and Pau Gasol's been great considering he's like 60 years old. But other than that, I don't think they're that talented. You know, D Rose has a checkered injury history, so like, I mean, obviously he's just not the same player. And then they have a bunch of like decent guys, but they also have a young head coach. So I think without Jimmy Butler, I think they're a pretty bad team.
Yeah, I think it's a fair drop without Butler. This team relies a lot on Derrick Rose, and he only shows up about 40% of the time. So it's tough for them to really do anything. They'll be in the playoffs, but they're not going to really do much. Another team that took a pretty big drop was the Rockets. They dropped 6 spots. They got a lot of chemistry issues there. Do you think the Rockets are going to make the playoffs this year, or?
I'd be really surprised if they did, just because they have top 7 player, arguably the best scorer in the NBA, in James Harden. So I'd be really surprised if they didn't, just because he's so good. And like in the NBA, you can have one guy such a guy like James Harden who can do everything except play defense. He can carry your team to the playoffs. So I would be really, if him and Dwight just connect on some level, I think they should definitely get in. Sacramento's terrible. I don't know if we should even talk about them. They're just the worst team in the NBA.
Oh, hold on. Knicks are worse than Sacramento, man.
No,
Come on now.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Sacramento's the worst organization in the NBA. But,
agreed. 100% agreed on that.
Yeah, I just think it's so funny that they were like, basically like in 2 weeks, everybody's talking how they were in the playoff picture, and then they just completely fell off. It's just a funny organization.
Moving on to games of the week, we had I think we had a break last week, but the week before we did All-Star picks. You guys didn't do great. I think the only All-Star pick that we got right was Nick. You got the Western Conference winning. I think everything else was incorrect, but I mean that's okay. Happens to the best of them.
Yeah, so, I had Isaiah Thomas, and he was in the finals. I had Chris Middleton. He was a flop. Although Chris Middleton must have had the most in and outs, or like the most shots that hit the exact same spot on the rim of anything of any player I've ever seen. He must have had like 15 shots that looked so good, and they all hit. I think it was either the back of the rim or. Yeah, so I was pretty bummed about that.
Yeah, that contest. If you weren't an elite shooter, you got exposed.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I had Will Barton. He was a flop. They needed to do away with the whole entrances and everything. I like how Levine just came out and just dunked.
Yeah, it was kind of corny.
He was no gimmicks. He was like, you know why I'm here. I'm here back to back.
Yeah, exactly.
The Drake song playing.
Yeah,
too,
that was awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys think Aaron Gordon should have won?
I don't know if he should have won, but I think they should have kept the contest going, because that dunk he had where he started up like behind his head, then he did the Dominique, reverse and threw it down. I think they should have kept it going. He should have gotten a 50 for that. And then if Levine threw down that, then Levine gets a 50 for the freaking 15 foot between the legs, or 18 foot, whatever that is. It was just that was crazy, but they should have kept it going.
I actually think Gordon should have won. I know one of my favorite dunks, probably my favorite dunk of the night, was when he had the mascot spinning around on the hoverboard thing Do you guys know what those are called? Fucky ducks or something like that? Funky ducks?
No idea.
It's something like that. But he was spinning around and he caught the ball, kind of cuffed it into 360, and then dunked it. And then, which definitely deserved a 50. I thought that was my favorite dunk of the night. But then Levine did something similar, basically without the mascot, and got a 52. I do think that's a 50 dunk, but it can't be a 50 after Gordon's 50. You know what I'm saying? You can't do the same dunk but not do it as well and still get the same score.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I feel like Gordon probably could have won that for sure. I loved like John mentioned, that triple pump dunk. That was pretty crazy. I don't think people understand throwing the momentum behind your head, underneath your legs, and then back up, how hard that really is to do. And then, I mean, the one where you put the ball like underneath both legs, I've never seen that before, like in a dunk competition. I thought that was awesome.
That was. I think that was the best dunk of the night.
Yeah.
That was the best dunk I've ever seen.
Or that too. Yeah. Best dunk.
I didn't know that was
dunk
possible. Like,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That was crazy. Yeah, that was insane.
So yeah, we were treated to a great All-Star Saturday night. The Sunday game was kind of boring, but overall, you guys did pretty shitty on on games of the week. So John, you're entering this week with a 43-29 record, and Nick, it was a rough week for you. So you're entering the week at 33-39. So let's hope you guys can make up some ground with the games of the week this week. So the first game of the week, Detroit at Cleveland, Monday at 7 on League Pass. I'm about to spew some stats for you guys here, and these are correct as of Sunday, February 21st in the morning, so it doesn't account for some of the games that happened on Sunday. The Cavs are better offensively and defensively according to their ratings. They're a much hotter team coming in, 8-2 in their last 10 versus 3-7, what the Pistons have. They both have, it's a back-to-back for both of them. The Cavs are obviously hotter, like we mentioned in the last 10. They're actually on a winning streak, while the Pistons are on a losing streak. And the season series is tied 1-1 with these teams. But with all that said, the Pistons just did make a move at the deadline to get Tobias Harris. So some of those stats might not be as accurate as we think they are. So who do you guys think will win this one?
I'm going to roll the Cavs. I like the way they played today against OKC. And I think it'll take Detroit a little time to get their new pieces into their system.
Yeah, I same logic here. I think the Cavs are going to win. I think, Pistons have been struggling lately, and I think they need some time to get acclimated with Tobias Harris.
Yeah, this is a big week for the Pistons. I have them on twice, and they play the two best teams in the Eastern Conference, sort of like a litmus test for them. But moving on, so on Thursday night, Houston at Portland, 10:30 TNT. Just some stats about these two teams. Similar offensively, Portland's a little bit better defensively. Portland's super hot coming into this week. They're 9-1 in the last 10, including a shellacking of Golden State. And the Rockets are 4-6 in the last 10. Not a back-to-back for either team. Both are on win streaks heading into the week, and their season series has Portland up 2-1. Who wins this Thursday night TNT game?
I'm going to go with the hot team. I'm going to go with Portland.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Portland too. It's gonna be a fun game. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. I feel like this could be a game where like Lillard has like 40 points and so does James Harden or something. So this will be a good game.
Yeah, I think this will be fun. It'll be worth staying up for. Moving on to Friday, Charlotte at Indiana, 7 o'clock League Pass. Charlotte's a little bit better offensively, and Indiana's a little bit better defensively. Similar last 10 records. Charlotte's 7-3, Pacers are 6-4. No back-to-back. They're both on win streaks, and the Hornets are leading the season series 1-0. And I picked this game because last Thursday night, after the trade deadline, Kenny the Jet Smith and Charles Barkley both said that these two teams would slip out of the playoff picture in the East and make way for Detroit and Washington. So I think this is an important game to kind of decide, hey, if one of these teams is going to make it, they actually have to beat the opposition. So I think this could have some low-key playoff implications. So who do you have winning this game on Friday night?
I'm going to go with the Pacers. They had that impressive win against OKC, and I don't think I see them falling out of the playoff picture.
Yeah, same reasoning. I'm gonna go with the Pacers.
All right, moving on to Saturday night prime time. The game of the week, easily the game of the week. Warriors at Thunder. The Warriors are a little bit better offensively and defensively, although it's really similar. Their last 10, the Warriors have that loss to Portland. The Thunder have come out of the All-Star break with losses to the Indiana Pacers, and they just lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers on Sunday. It's not a back-to-back. The Warriors are on a win streak. Thunder are on a losing streak heading into the week. And the Warriors did beat the Thunder a couple of weeks ago, another Saturday night game, which turned out to be really entertaining. Who do you have winning this rematch?
This is honestly a tough pick right here. Part of me wants to go with OKC just because I love KD and Westbrook, but my head's telling me to go with Golden State. I'm going to go with Golden State. They took that beating from Portland, so they're not going to lose again.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Thunder at home. I think, especially with the way they've started, I think getting a big win against Golden State would help right the ship and give them some confidence with the postseason looming.
All right, final game, Sunday, 6 o'clock, League Pass, Raptors at Pistons. So hey, welcome to Spurs category, Detroit. The only other team that's been on my games of the week 2 times in 1 week. Detroit, San Antonio. Who would have thought?
All right, so I'm going to go with Toronto. I think they're going to stay hot. They've won a ton of games. They're a talented team, and I don't think Detroit's ready yet with the new trades.
Yeah, same reasoning. I'm going to go with Toronto, even though they're at home. Plus, the Pistons, they had a back-to-back, or they're going to have a back-to-back. So, second night back-to-back, to clarify. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Toronto.
Well, damn, just to recap, you both have the Cavs over Detroit. Both have Portland over Houston. Both have Indiana over Charlotte. Nick, you have Golden State beating OKC, and John, you're with OKC on that one. And you both have the Raptors beating Detroit. So what this tells me is I need to do a better job of picking these games. Can't have this much agreement. I got to do a better job. Next week will be a tough week.
Yeah, I think the Hornets and Pacers game, that could easily be the Hornets, though. I think. But the rest.
OKC and Thunder. OKC and the Warriors is a pretty tough one too.
Yeah. I think all these are tough, except maybe Pistons and Cavs, and maybe Pistons and Raptors.
So, are either of you willing to change your picks? That's the real question.
No.
All right, I'll go with the Hornets against the Pacers instead.
Are you sure you want to do this?
I'm sure.
All right. So, John, you're going to go with the Hornets over the Pacers, and Nick, you're sticking with the Pacers.
Correct.
Awesome. That wraps it up for Games of the Week.
That wraps it up for today. Great show, guys, and thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah, thank you for listening. If you liked it, be sure to like it. It's pretty obvious, right? And hit subscribe too. Feel free to comment. We do want to know what you guys thought of the phrases. We want to know what you guys are thinking. So mention us on Twitter, and hopefully we'll respond to you and have a nice little interaction. But we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.